Oi, this is the Profanity Gnome, and I'm here to tell you that if you're under 13 years old, fuck off this video! Get the fuck off YouTube! Get your mama to get your dad's cock out of her ears and actually be a parent! This is for adults only! And for everybody else, enjoy the video. And don't forget to like and subscribe and comment below what you think, you fuck buckets. To stand out among the crowd, even if I gotta shout out loud, till mine is the only face that you see. Gonna stand out till you notice me.
What exactly are you doing, gent?
Oh, Rhino Butler said that because it was my idea to put rockets on the side of our ship, I have to be the one to help fix it.
It looks like it's taken a considerable amount of damage.
Yeah, but that's the price of having a theatrical entrance.
Would you like some assistance? I'm sure I could possibly get other Autobots to help.
Oh, really? Yeah, that'd be great!
Oi, you over there! Don't you be thinking any funny business about doing something funny to my ship!
Shh! We have to keep quiet. Deadbeard gets really sensitive about his ships. This is Transformers War for Cybertron Siege, Episode 2. The episode begins at Kaon, as Megatron is chilling in his fortress like a bala, telling all of his Decepticons to hunt down the Autobots no matter what. When suddenly they are approached by Ultra Magnus himself, who, stupidly, immediately surrenders. But this opens the doors to negotiations. Ultra Magnus' initial plan was to find a way to end the war peacefully and start rebuilding their society. But Megatron, much like Optimus, is uninterested in actually establishing peace unless they're on exactly his terms. He straight up tells Ultra Magnus that unless he commands the Autobots to stand the fuck down, there would be no peace, only victory. Ultra Magnus reluctantly refuses to allow the Autobots to stand down, so they are at an impasse once again. We cut back to the Autobot base, as Optimus has to tell everybody that Ultra Magnus surrendered himself to the Decepticons, and that Elita 1 is now in charge of all military operations. Optimus, don't you think that promoting Elita 1 of all bots is a little bit biased on your part?
What? She's proven herself to be a very strong and capable warrior.
That you're banging.
Cybertronians do not reproduce that way.
Then why do you have female Cybertronians in the first place?
We cut back to Kaon as Megatron is pondering his screens, when he's approached by Shockwave saying that he finally has come up with a solution to end the war with a decisive Decepticon victory. And how? How else? The Allspark. A mystical device that hasn't been seen by Cybertronians by this time for thousands of years. But if the Decepticons manage to find it, Shockwave is confident that he could make an algorithm that would send a wave of code to every Cybertronian, transforming them all into Decepticons, thus giving a clean and decisive victory. Now, while this plan is completely good for Shockwave, all the other Decepticons feel uneasy about it. After all, what would the radical implications of such a plan be? Even Megatron is a bit hesitant. He doesn't outward say no, but he says he has to ponder the ramifications of such a plan. Unfortunately, though, Ultra Magnus jumps the gun, hearing such a outrageous plan, and immediately tries to contact the Autobots. The Autobots get wind of it, and Optimus, as well as the others, are very, very concerned that Megatron might even consider implicating such a plan. So now, the Autobots go on the hunt for the Allspark. But unfortunately for the Autobots, Soundwave is in charge of communications for the Decepticons, and he picked up the wave transmission that Ultra Magnus used. and he informed Megatron immediately. This made Megatron furious that Ultra Magnus betrayed his hospitality, but he also opened the door for him for another evil scheme. He had Soundwave create a false transmission in Ultra Magnus's voice, saying that the Decepticons have found the location of the Allspark and where it is, leading the Optimus and the other Autobots on a wild goose chase. Now, unfortunately, I gotta say this. Ultra Magnus, you are not being shone in the greatest of lights here. I mean, you openly tell Optimus that he needs to just give up and take the surrender treaty that Megatron offers. You openly throw yourself at Megatron's feet as one of the highest ranking generals in the Autobots army, just to try to convince a warmongering Megatron to sign over a peace treaty with the Autobots, then refuse to even negotiate when Megatron tells you his side of the bargain. And then you have an open wave communication to the Autobot headquarters, knowing full well Soundwave, an expert at detecting communications, is probably monitoring your every move. I know what you're trying to do is what you believe to be right, but not one of these decisions you've made is a smart move. I mean, for fuck's sake, we get a cut back to Ultra Magnus as Megatron cuts back to his cell and says, yeah, any chance that you might have had of working with me has now gone out the window after that little stunt you pulled. But you did offer the keys to a possible decisive victory for me, so thanks for your contributions to the Decepticon cause. We cut back to Optimus as he's rallying all the Autobots, while the Decepticons are mobilizing, preparing for an immediate ambush. Elita 1 is also concerned that Optimus is walking into an obvious trap, as they're right in the middle of Sniper Town. But Optimus is like, nah, it'll be fine. So after investigating for a little while, they do find a random supersized dose of Energon, which they thought was the Allspark. They inform Optimus, and that's when Optimus realizes, wait a minute, this is a trap! But the trap has already been sprung by the time they find out, and Decepticon snipers begin blasting a hell of a lot of fire throughout their positions, injuring and possibly even killing a few of them. They do try to fight back the best they can, but they're dealing with overwhelming sniper support. But don't worry, the Autobots have a secret weapon. Gent support! Well, the fighting continues for a little bit of time, which ultimately results in the Autobots retreating by dropping a goddamn building on all the Decepticon forces, allowing them the leeway room to get away. And the damage is done. We cut back to the Autobot base as we see the heavy casualties they took during the battle. And Optimus having to admit that, yeah, maybe that wasn't the best move. And Wheeljack saying, yeah, well, did you at least get the Energon? That's a good question. Did they?
Unfortunately, we did not. But, Wheeljack, do you mind helping out with a small favor, my young friend?
Well, we cut back to the Decepticons as they're also recuperating their damages and losses. But when they went to go try to retrieve the huge amount of Energon that they used, they discovered it be missing. We cut back to Kaon as Megatron is absolutely livid that not only did his trap fail, not only did they lose a high-ranking general in his army, and not only is Optimus still alive, but they also lost a huge amount of Energon that is crucial to their survival. Yeah, he is not good at the moment. But wait, if the Autobots don't have the Energon, and the Decepticons don't have the Energon, who the flying fuck has the Energon? Questions for later. Well, we finally cut back to Megatron, who is still absolutely livid, and demands to know the Autobot location from Ultra Magnus. Ultra Magnus does the first smart decision in the series he's done, and refuses to give it up. And Megatron is so absolutely furious that he punches Ultra Magnus through a force field wall. Well, if anything, this only cemented Megatron's decision. Shockwave now has the A-OK to proceed with his Allspark Reformation plan. Megatron is no longer interested in peace. He's interested in victory. And that was Transformers: War for Cybertron Siege Episode 2. Again, another very, very heavily dialogue-based episode, but with a little bit of action in order to try to compensate for the amount of exposition being thrown your way. Again, what it lacks in actions, it makes up for in atmosphere, showing just what kind of world and what kind of desolation that's being caused by both Autobot and Decepticons' war. Even though Ultra Magnus wasn't really cast in the best light, we can all understand at the very least his motive, trying for peace, as misguided as his actions are. We also see that Megatron isn't entirely the big evil force of nature that he's been built up to be for so long, but rather a general who's so tired of the war that he just wants it to end, but he's not willing to negotiate any type of settlement. And Optimus isn't exactly in the best light of that either. And we also see that Megatron isn't beyond reasoning and rationale. I think a lot of his motives for wanting to do this reformation plan was out of anger and spite. Even he was considering it. And with things as grim as they are, it looks like things are going back to basics as a hunt for the Allspark becomes crucial for the survival and turning point of both sides of the war. But my question is, even if the Autobots get a hand of the Allspark, what are they going to do with it? Given all the actions we've seen up to this point, it wouldn't surprise me if Optimus tries to use it to do the reverse of Megatron's plan and turn everybody into Autobots. Who's to say? But without question, things are building up significantly well. So, until next time, we're the Cartoon Gentlemen, the organizers of chaos. See you next time. That's it, just a little more. Keep it going. You're good. You're good. Hey, thanks for the help, Wheeljack. I really appreciate this.
Don't mention it. It's more of a favor to Optimus, really. And given this primitive nature of this vessel, it shouldn't be too much of a work to patch it up.
Ooh, do you think we could upgrade it a little bit?
Maybe. I could probably add some nice shielding, maybe a cannon or two.
Ooh, a super laser awesome bazooka!
You do know that we don't have too much firepower, but I like your thinking, kid.
Oi! Don't you be messing with me, ships!
To stand out among the crowd,
Even if I gotta shout out loud,
Till mine is the only face that you see. Gonna stand out.
till you notice me.